It is now 49 days to the election. 49? Were we saying that yesterday? I can't keep up. Less than a week to what could become one of the most watched presidential debates in history. It will be, right? Don't you think it's going to be number one? I think it's going to be number one. And about 72 hours since terror attacks rocked New York City and New Jersey. Against that backdrop, President Obama today went to the United Nations, just blocks away from where 31 people were wounded, calling for the world to take in more refugees. Then suggesting that critics of his plan, critics like Donald Trump, are actually helping the terrorists.
If we were to turn refugees away simply because of their background or religion, or for example, because they are Muslim, then we would be reinforcing terrorist propaganda that nations like my own are somehow opposed to Islam. This crisis is a test of our common humanity. Whether we give in to suspicion and fear and build walls, or whether we see ourselves in another. To slam the door in the face of these families would betray our deepest values.
Not only did the president use the United Nations for what sounded an awful lot like a campaign speech, news also dropped today of an unprecedented campaign blitz by Mr. Obama on behalf of Hillary Clinton, with the president reportedly prepared to devote at least 1 or 2 days a week to getting her elected between now and November 8th. Joining us now, Marc Thiessen, a Fox News contributor and a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, and Roland Martin, who's host and managing editor of NewsOne Now on TV1. Great to see you both.
Glad to be here.
Good to see you, Megyn.
So let's just talk about the refugee situation, because this is becoming bigger and bigger, and the immigration policies of the two candidates. The president today coming out and saying we need more refugees to come into the country, and Hillary Clinton saying, okay, they'll be subjected, however, to tough vetting. This is how she put it, Mark. Stand by.
So I am absolutely in favor of, and have long been an advocate for, tough vetting, for making sure that we don't let people into this country, and not just people who come here to settle, but we need a better visa system.
Your thoughts on that?
She was in charge of the visa system. She was Secretary of State for the first 3 years of the Obama administration. Why didn't she give us a better visa system when she had the chance, when she was in charge of the department that is in charge of issuing visas? I mean, this is the problem. Hillary Clinton both wants to run away from Barack Obama and wants to tie herself at the hip with him. They're going to be campaigning together twice a week for the rest of the up until Election Day. So she wants his support, but she also is going to be tied to his record. Well, what is his record? His record is, we just found out that the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General found out that over 1,800 people who were supposed to be deported because they posed a national security risk were given U.S. citizenship instead.
That's insane.
They confused the deportation order with a passport application. They couldn't tell the difference. This is our vetting system right now. And Hillary Clinton looks at that and says, let's increase the number of Syrian refugees by 500%. She's not doubling down on Obama's policies. She's quintupling down on Obama's policies. This is not going to do her well in the election coming up.
Roland, that number, that hasn't gotten a lot of coverage, but it's true. At least 1,811 immigrants who were supposed to be deported because they posed these national security threats instead were given citizenship.
Well, when you also have a country where you have people like when you had individual members of Congress who were on the no-fly list, it's no shock that we have bureaucratic screw-ups. Those are things that actually
That's a big one.
No, it is a big one. It is a big one. And my point is, that's why you also are to fix those things.
But now, you see, as a political matter, why it puts her in a difficult position to say, let's quintuple the number of refugees coming in.
Well, but again, first of all, as Americans, it's a little difficult for us to ask others around the world to do something that we're unwilling to do. Now, when we also made the point about her being over the visa program, remember, she also was working for a president. Mark, you worked for a president. You just simply couldn't do something on your own without that being the approval of the president of the United States. The bottom line is
Secretary of State.
No. I understand you. I understand what you weren't, but the reality is she still had a boss like you had a boss. That is the president of the United States. The thing here is this here. I don't believe that somehow the refugee policy is going to be somehow that major in striking her down. There are people who don't like the president, who don't like her already. And so I don't think all of a sudden they're going to say, I hate her even more so. But I do believe you do have Americans out there who understand from a humanitarian perspective where we are as a country.
What do you make of it, Mark? Because it's extraordinary to see a sitting president devote, 2 days of the work week to campaigning for someone running for office. I don't know if is he going to get a dock and pay? He's not really doing the people's business 2 out of the 5 working days.
Well, part of his job, I guess, is preserving his legacy, and he realizes that if Donald Trump is elected, it's going to be a big blow to his legacy. His legacy depends on Hillary Clinton getting elected, and she understands that she's running on his legacy. Look, after an 8-year term in office, the choice in election is change or more of the same. She is the candidate of more of the same. She's the candidate of what's happening in Syria right now. It was on her watch and Obama's watch. They did nothing while 500,000 people were massacred in that country and had no safe zone to flee the violence. And so the refugee crisis was created on their watch.
But
and now they're coming out and saying,
on the other hand,
you're immoral for not taking more refugees. You created the refugee crisis.
On the other hand, though, Roland, if her legacy is his, he's got a 52% approval rating right now. It's been above that in recent days. And actually, the latest polls, we had this discussion last night, the latest polls on terror show her ahead of Donald Trump in all but I think one poll. She is outpolling him on who they trust more to handle terror.
I can guarantee you this. If Marc's former boss actually had a high approval rating, Republicans would not have been running from him in 2008. This is the reality of when you are a strong incumbent. If Al Gore was not being an idiot and not having former President Bill Clinton campaign for him, he likely would have won the presidency. All he had to do was win his home state of Tennessee or win Arkansas, and he wins the presidency. And so if you're a political party, you want a popular president. You want a president on the campaign. No, excuse me, Mark. I guarantee you, when you have approval rating above 50% and with the highest in years, trust me, you want that. And again, if Bush had comparable numbers in 2008, trust me, Republicans would have loved to have the president on the campaign trail.
All right,
so
I gotta leave it at that.
You got to suck it up there, Mark. He's popular.
I gotta go. Great to see you both.